Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session, CS in a World of AI, or Leveraging AI for Customer Success. It's incredibly awesome to have all of you on this session here today. AI and customer success are two disciplines that I'm personally incredibly passionate about. So when I got the opportunity to speak about the intersection of AI and customer success and AI and customer experience, it was an opportunity that I didn't want to pass up. So thank you for taking the time to dial in to today's session. And I'd like to take a minute and thank our platform, the Customer Success Collective, and in particular, Alex, for putting together a phenomenal program today. A very quick introduction. My name is Rupal Nishar. I'm the VP of Customer Success at Natomi. Natomi is an AI-driven brand engagement platform. Think of it as a relationship operating system that really delivers on each brand's interactions instantly across multiple channels. It's a no-code platform that has essentially demystified AI for anyone that may not be technical, including my 11-year-old daughter who can program, as she says, in AI. I have been here at Natomi for about 16 to 17 months now. And although my title is that of a VP of CS, I think I am squarely in charge of what we call the happiness quotient. So more often than not, I consider myself to be the guardian of that. Previously, I've worked at other SaaS organizations like Conga, Aptus, Aptio, and I've also worked in the financial services sector at Bridgewater Associates. I absolutely love customer success as a discipline. I think my family, my friends, my acquaintances are fully aware that I can speak about customer success and SaaS and AI all day, and including my weekends are very much immersed in my passion for CS as a discipline. I operate by very strong principles and guidelines. I think for me personally, it's important to be very brave, to speak one's mind as clearly and as transparently as one can be. It's important to be generous and finally to push your boundaries to grow. I think these are principles and these are mantras that I equally share with folks that I mentor or folks within my teams as well. So if you're hearing a little bit of lag in my voice, I'm just recovering from pneumonia. So please bear with me as I try to get through the agenda for today. Let's quickly review what we're going to discuss today. I think I wanted to start the discussion off with debunking some of the misconceptions that are there around AI. I'd also like to review some of the challenges that the CSMs are facing today in their day-to-day activities that are really data related or are repetitive, right? I'd also like to take a moment and dive into how CS leaders are leveraging AI as a mechanism to amplify their team's productivity and meet their KPIs and goals for the department or overall, even for the organizations. And finally, if there's any other Q&A, I'm more than happy to take on any questions that you may have, or you're welcome to even reach out to me directly on LinkedIn as well. So let's quickly dive in. If I had to pick a famous quote that speaks to both CS and AI, this would be it. Steve Jobs was once quoted saying this: get closer than ever to your customers. So close that you can tell them what they need well before they realize it themselves. If we think about this, in reality, the landscape of the tech stack and the number of SaaS products an organization now owns has 10x just in the last 5 years or so. The marketplace, the way we know it, is growing by the minute. Your customers are inundated with meeting their vendors, just like you. They are bombarded with information, they're bombarded with options. Sometimes, frankly, even they don't know exactly what they may want. We certainly, in that case, shouldn't assume what they want, much less predict what they would want in the future. Right? Now, this doesn't mean we don't listen to our customers or we tell them what they need. In fact, it's quite the opposite. What this means, or what this quote really implies, it means we should listen to them better, obsess about their patterns enough to be able to think about what they may need next. So let's take a moment and talk about what it's truly like in the shoes of a customer success manager on a daily basis. The CSM is on a customer call and is asked a question about their contract or their adoption numbers, or even on an internal call. Management is asking the CSM about a particular account. The CSM is frantically trying to get to different systems of record to formulate an accurate picture. Does any of this sound familiar? The CSM goes from the CRM system to the CS tool. Perhaps it's in their notes. It's in the backend analytics, adoption analytics, you name it. A CSM has to go through multiple sources of data systems on a daily basis to get the accurate information that they need. There are too many systems of data. And even in cases when there is a ton of data, more often than not, there is a data bank. There is generally, or very, very rarely, meaningful insight or meaningful conclusions a CSM can draw from seeing the data around them, right? Finally, I think that speaking with CSMs across the globe, there is a ton of repeatability in what they're doing, whether it's the daily updates, the checklist that they may follow, it may be a support follow-up, perhaps, or a product-related question, perhaps slides for the QBRs that they're prepping. The CSM is constantly, on a daily basis, orchestrating many different things at varying different degrees of priorities. If I had to visualize this, I would almost think about this visually as every single CSM has a different level of activities that I would characterize as that fall below the line, or characterize the activities that they're doing that are above the line. And when I think about above the line, I think of activities that may be truly value add, right? That are truly moving the needle, right? And when I think about those above the line activities, it takes a lot for a CSM to be able to filter out the noise from all of the repetitive tasks to be able to focus on these above the line activities, right? So how does one filter this from very noisy customer view into meaningful insights that you can actually transact on, right? So let's talk about how AI can actually help here. Before we get into that, let's talk about some of the myths that I've heard consistently and some of the myths that surround the discipline of AI. Well, chances are you've heard some of these before. I think this is true for any discipline. Whenever there's rapid advancement in a particular field, things may seem mysterious. And sometimes we see a parallel increase in myths or misconceptions. And sometimes it's complete inaccuracies about it. So let's take a moment to talk about some of the common ones that I've seen around AI that revolve around CS as well. Artificial intelligence, right? Artificial intelligence is artificial. I've heard this being said a number of times. It's true that AI may not be intelligent in exactly like a human intelligence way, but AI is truly built by combing through large amounts of data with fast and even iterative processing and very intelligent algorithms. So it truly isn't artificial. I genuinely personally believe there isn't anything artificial about AI. I would almost think I would call it as real intelligence or supportive or objective intelligence in some cases, if I could recoin the phrase artificial intelligence. Another myth that I've heard this often enough: AI will make human labor obsolete, or AI will automate everything and put people out of work. At one point, people really thought that about Excel and computers or any new technology, by the way. So this isn't true just for AI. The reality is that AI can help solve very specific problems. If I had to draw some examples, I'd take your Alexa or a Siri or even driving a car as a very, very specific and narrow thing that AI can solve for, right? The ability to replicate that human level of thinking simply does not exist the way that we think about AI, right? The way the misconception around AI and taking over all the roles or making human labor obsolete is nothing more than a science fiction movie right now. I think there is a parallel side of this that I'll get into a little bit later that actually draws upon what are the areas that AI does actually excel well at. So let's get on to our next myth. So for my dear CS leaders, I think this is a very common one that I've heard over and over again in the last year, especially. My CS org is too small for an AI strategy. I don't blame CS leaders that say this. AI in customer success as a discipline is still very, very new and mysterious. The reality is AI isn't just to amplify volume in resources or elasticity in resources. In fact, AI as a strategy, the earlier adopted in the growth of an organization, the more it can help scale, the more it can have an impact on the ROI, the more impact it can have on the end user's experience as well. So I genuinely believe that an organization is never too small to think about AI in a way strategically and put it on their strategic or technology transformation roadmap of how they're going to incorporate it. I think the more leaders I speak to across the globe, the more I'm seeing an appetite for CS leaders to see how they can leverage this to really reduce some of the repetitiveness within the CS org, right? So the CS team can actually focus on things that matter and can move the needle. So since this continues to be a debate, let's break down what the strengths of humans versus the AI truly is, understanding what the machines are capable of and where their strengths are. The key here truly is finding the right balance. Humans are excellent at solving complex problems and being creative, while machines are better at simpler tasks with very defined inputs and outputs. Humans are also on the front lines of defining and identifying what problems the AI needs to solve, right? I think another key thing to highlight is a sense of situational awareness that humans are inherently programmed for, right? On the other hand, as compared to humans, computers can process more information at a much more faster rate. For instance, if it takes the human mind to solve a problem in a few minutes, like maybe 3 to 5 minutes, AI can probably solve 10 problems in a minute, or probably even more. Another advantage of using AI is its level of accuracy and its level of objectiveness when solving a problem. An outcome that's driven by AI is driven purely by the data that it's analyzed. Human beings, on the other hand, can be influenced by other subjective factors. So their outcomes may be muddled, may not be determined purely on data alone, right? So we let our biases take over, whereas the AI will not. And finally, another key variable I want to highlight is the volume. The AI can process large amounts of volume of information or transactions or engagements in seconds, minutes. Some of this, it may take humans a lot longer to achieve the same level of results. So when we think about it, how do we find the good balance, right? What is the framework here that we're looking at? I genuinely believe that human intelligence, when it's fueled by, empowered by artificial intelligence together, will be the net new way of operating, no matter what discipline you're working in, whether it's technology, e-com, healthcare, you name it. The way I see the world is that humans will leverage AI to focus on better quality of decisions, better outcomes, and honestly, by letting AI take on more of the repetitive tasks and also by leveraging the trends and insights, humans will be able to focus on more creative aspects and solve more complex aspects of a role, right? I think this is one thing that I can speak to even in my world, right? How many of us are doing some of the repetitive tasks over and over again, right? So I firmly believe that human intelligence together, combined with AI, will have a very solid outcome when it comes to amplifying the outcomes and a business strategy for an organization, right? So let's continue. Let's talk about how customer success leaders globally are leveraging AI. I'd like to share some of the examples that I've seen, share some of the examples that my peers across the globe have shared with me or have called me about or are trying to solve for or are on their AI maturity journey and want to know how they can amplify the results. All right. I'm seeing a few different ways CS leaders are adapting to AI technology. One of the key areas of focus, as we all know, for CS leaders continues to be, or CS leaders are continually measured on, is onboarding. Quality, speed of onboarding. Another key initiative you will see in any CS leaders' goals, any sophisticated CS leaders' goals today is the whole going digital first mantra, right? Going digital first or digital adoption strategy, something to that effect. AI tools are helping accelerate customer onboarding at a pace like never before. The tools are also helping the customers do it at their own pace and define their own paths that are specifically tailored to them. What I've seen is with the right AI tools and processes in place, you can even have a better conversion rate. Let's take, for example, if a customer is likely to drop off during onboarding, right? If it's a premium product or if it's a POC or a trial, the AI can help with the next best action or even make onboarding frictionless by providing the right information the customers need at the right time, right? By analyzing either patterns or patterns of previous customers that have been in those scenarios, right? Or it could even be based on their preferences. If there's one thing that CS leaders are trying to focus on is making onboarding as frictionless as possible. Moving on to the next dimension, which is personalization. I think this is one of my favorite ones. leveraging AI to create personalized experiences for a customer. No matter what industry segment your business is in, AI can help deliver hyper personalized experiences. Let's take, for example, skill based routing, right? Mapping the right agents or mapping the right resources to the right customers based on, say, for example, a question that they asked, right? Based on the subject matter that your CS resource is specialized in. All this can happen in real time. This absolutely creates a better brand loyalty and ultimately will result in positive ROI. What ends up happening in some of these scenarios is you're empowering the customers to sit in the driver's seat and navigate some of these experiences based on some of their own preferences, right? Imagine you have two very different sets of personas. One could be an executive, one could be, say, somebody who's your day-to-day contact, right? When you're onboarding both of these personas into your platform, the experiences you want to drive for them, sure, there might be some overlaps, maybe at the highest level, but you certainly don't want your executive taking on some of the more in-depth product related training that your day-to-day person who may be in an ops role, maybe an analyst, or maybe in support, or maybe in a different function in the organization. The AI helps you create very specific and draw conclusions about very specific personas and helps you navigate and take some of the puzzling pieces out of the equation and can help predict which way a certain persona is going to navigate towards. So definitely a lot smarter, better behavior-based engagements will drive brand loyalty and improve the ROI at the end of the day. Continuing on to our next dimension. So conversational AI. This is, I said, I know personalization was one of my favorites. Conversational AI has to be my favorite dimension. This is a framework that is incredibly popular at the moment. And the conversational AI platforms are truly delivering value as quickly as the first few days. I happen to work in one, so I can say this, that it is delivering value within the first few days. So let's talk a little bit more about this, right? What's the value add? Although commonly known as chatbots, the reality is an organization needs a true AI platform that goes beyond being a chatbot. What you need is an AI solution that is able to service your customers across multiple channels intelligently and navigate their data. How many of us are, think of your favorite brand. How many of us are actually engaging with that brand in just one way? Right? Like one of my favorite brands is an apparel brand. I go on their website. I sometimes engage with them on their Facebook Messenger. I may sometimes even engage with this brand on a different e-com platform, right? There are multiple ways. It's a whole omni-channel experience, a whole omni-channel way that you need to be able to engage with your end users on, right? Your customers are not just in one area, right? They're not just going to come to your website and engage with you there. They're going to be engaging with you in multitudes of ways, right? And when you look at this from a lens of a customer, the customer doesn't necessarily see a channel, right? They see a brand. I expect this brand to operate in the same way, no matter what channel that is, right? So lately, in the last couple of years, I've seen CS leaders and CS leaders find a lot of success in AI platforms that truly deliver automation, not just in one area of the business, like not just in support, but across the board in their customer journey, wherever there is repeatability, wherever they can create elasticity in their resources. Let's take for a moment, if you're bringing in a new CSM or a new support agent or a new rep, it takes time to get them up to speed. And more importantly, a CS leader, you want them to focus on high value complex issues, right? AI gives the organization the power to take away a good chunk of their repetitive tasks. Another key benefit is elasticity in the resources. There are businesses that have the unpredictability in the nature of the business, right? Whether Let's take, for example, banking or travel or e-com. They all have external factors, right? There could be some change in the economic climate, or there could be some change in the environment. And there's a surge of requests or surge of a need for your end users to be serviced. AI can help be that manpower to take on some of the tasks and be your brand voice. So lately, I've been seeing a lot of CS organizations that have support as a function. And even in cases where they don't have support as a function, are leveraging conversational AI as a tool to be available for their customers 24/7 and addressing some of their either frequently asked questions, or in certain cases, there is an element of leading the customer to the right answers, and being your brand's voice, especially now, given the fact that customers are operating in multi-channels. And then finally, I'd like to talk a little bit about predictive analytics. Predictive analytics is probably one of the most powerful ways that I have used in the past, and I continue to do so. And I've seen other CS leaders that I've worked with and have helped set up mechanisms that signal opportunities or risks in the customer portfolio. So let's unpack what that means. So when you think about predictive analytics, it's basically when you use algorithms that can be combined with, say, internal or external data to forecast future trends, right? Which can have a direct impact to your operational efficiencies with your customers. When this algorithms with the data is combined with AI, the insights gleaned from these advanced systems truly are the key to more accurate and timely forecasts going forward. So let's think about this just for a quick moment. To give you an idea, one of the CS leaders that we were able to establish this process around was revolved around analyzing their customer behavior to the point where there were 17 to 20 different markers along the customer's behavior that would indicate whether the customer was ready for another SKU for them to buy, or was ready for an upgrade. Or in certain cases, there were different markers that would predict whether the customer could be a churn, which meant that it gave the CS team a powerful insight into when they needed to intervene as early as possible to remediate and course correct where they needed to. So there are a few things that I think are critical. Deep customer insights is an outcome. Retention and revenue growth is an outcome of having great predictive analytics. If you ask me, what are some of the things that I've seen as part of predictive analytics, or what's necessary, right? What are the ingredients that are necessary? I think there are three things that are necessary to have predictive analytics play a key role in an organization. One is, do you have the right data and the right product infrastructure in place, right? Does your product have an AI strategy in place? Are there processes, and is there a culture of AI that's inculcated within how we're thinking about solving for a business problem, right? And finally, is AI part of our strategic initiatives? So I think all of these things are critical and crucial when it comes to following through and having a very solid predictive analytics in place for AI. I'd like to wrap this up and say that there isn't a black and white template that can be applied from one organization to another. I think there are some guiding principles that are pretty solid that can be translated from one organization to another. I think just like any discipline, whether it's customer success or AI or whatever industry you're working in, there is a level of maturity that needs to be there. And for the maturity, there is a maturity that is a direct function of time and investment that organization makes. I don't think that there is a tool or there is a magic equation for AI that you can turn on and it can activate. I think just like anything else that it needs to be meaningful and needs to have an impact, there's the right level of investment that needs to be made by the organization. And time and resources obviously is also a function of it as well. So without further ado, I'd like to thank everyone that joined today's session. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to get connected with you on LinkedIn as well. Thank you.